Creative Katie, Karen Burchill here. Welcome to my channel, Mixed Media Creations. Follow me on all my social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, WordPress, and Pinterest. Search for Creative Katie, you'll find me. If you wish to support my channel, you can shop through my Amazon influencer links or make a direct donation through my PayPal link. Both can be found in the description box below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber. And if you are, click on the bell and select the option to be notified as soon as I upload new videos. Did you know that I'm the brand ambassador for the Crafters Workshop? You'll see some of their products used in this video. Today we have a palette sign tutorial, Beach House. And this is the Crafters Workshop Rustic Sign Stencil Beach House. And my husband cut and made the palette sign for me, perfect to the dimensions that I wanted. I'm using some chalk paint in a kind of sandy tone for the base. And I'm just applying a coat of this. Now I know as soon as you put paint on raw wood, some parts of it tend to lift. So I'm going to come back, and I'm not sure if I put that on the video or not. I'm going to come back and give this a good sand and then put another coat of the same color. If you don't have chalk paint, you can use, and I have used acrylic paint. I've used craft paint, I've used the heavy body paint. Find the color you want and use that. Here I am. I'm using a sanding disc, but you can use regular sanding paper and a fine grit, and I'm just sanding it down, and that gets rid of the raised parts. You could choose to leave the raised parts, and that'll just add another effect. But I wanted it to be smooth. I'm using a baby wipe to clean it. Now I have Prussian blue, bright aqua, and white, and I'm using a makeup sponge and applying it through the stencil. And I'm kind of getting an ombre effect with darker on the bottom and then light at the top. And I go over a couple times to get the blend just right. I take a sneak peek to see if my idea is turning out the way I envision, and I'm absolutely loving it. So I just keep going with each letter one by one. Now, you could think, oh, I'll do all the bottom in the blue and then do the bright aqua and then the white. But remember, you want it to blend so you don't have harsh edges. So you need to keep the paint wet. And depending on which paint you're using, they may have different drying times. I'm dipping into the paint and stamping off on the side so there's not too much wet paint on the makeup sponge. And that way I prevent it from seeping underneath. The Crafters Workshop has a lot of rustic palette sign stencils. They started, I believe, in the summer of 2018, and this is their second rollout of these rustic signs. You can check them out. I don't think I can find the link to this one exactly, but I'll link to a couple of the others so you can see what they have. I decided that I'm going to put starfish on here, and I did a couple plays around with starfish and stencils, and I cut them out just to get the placement and to see if I really like the look. And I decided that instead of collaging on here, which I would do if this was a canvas, there is a good chance that this is going to be hung outside, so I didn't want to have collage papers because I wasn't sure how well they would stand up. This starfish I actually traced from a starfish that I had bought at Michael's. And then I cut a stencil using the Crafters Workshop stencil blanks. Just seeing which way I want them to go. And I'm doing the same kind of ombre effect, although probably because it's a bigger area, the blending was a little bit more difficult to get and I worked a little bit harder. But I add another layer and that kind of hides that. You can see how you get that stark line right there. So I'm working it a little more, adding a little more wet paint, dry paint, different colors just to get that blend. Figuring out placement. Now a stencil like this, a form, you can just download a template and make your own, whatever focal point you want, especially if there's no real details to it, right? And it can be cut out of cardboard as well. You don't need it necessarily to be plastic. But starfish are something that I've used often, so it was well worth my time to cut it. Just working on the blend a little bit. Now I'm putting the stencil back on, and this time I'm kind of using it as mask, and I'm going to apply white acrylic paint onto bubble wrap. And I'm just pressing it on, masking off the areas where I don't want the paint to go and putting it on. I think it would be equally nice to maybe do each of the starfish with a different stencil. And you'd get 3 different patterns, and so each one would be a little bit different. But I like the look of the bubble wrap as well. And it looks very similar to what the texture may be on a starfish. And you can see how the lines that separate where the blending was kind of faded, that got pushed into the background. I grabbed my fine line bottle, and it has black paint that has been thinned with water to the right consistency, and I'm just dashing all the way around. And really, this just made a world of difference. I could have alternatively used the shading, and I could have shaded around this as well as doing this, or do one and not the other, but I like this kind of look. And I continue to do this on the letters and around the outside of the pallet sign. When you're using the fine line bottle, I mixed in the heavy body black paint and thinned it to the consistency. You really have to put minimum amount of pressure to get it to come out. So if you're finding you're having to squeeze too hard, in all likelihood your paint is too thick. Add a little bit of water. I don't have direct measurements, sorry, because different paints are different thicknesses. So this was a very quick, easy tutorial. I hope you give rustic signs stencils a try. You can do the same thing on an art journal page. You can do the same thing on a canvas. It doesn't have to be on a palette board. Watch to the end. I list a few more videos on a related theme for your inspiration. Bye for now.